Hi folks, you're with Tacitus Today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio no pictures live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast as you're driving along in your car, your truck, or on public transport. In this essay, I'd like to talk about mass migration, particularly of young men from third world basket case impoverished countries. So why are so many of them coming in such vast numbers to the first world countries? You know, they're streaming into Britain and Europe and the United States. Why is that? Now, one of the and we're talking, say under 35 and 16, 17 plus, that sort of age range. Why are these young men coming to the West? But more importantly, and this is probably the bigger question, why are they leaving their third world basket case countries? Now, given their entire existence is village, tribal, family-based, going back thousands of years, and still is today, these people are illiterate peasants in their own country, and they know nothing outside of the life of the village. And their parents are from the village and lived there, the grandparents, aunts, uncles. Now, family is very, very important to their family and tribe, seriously, and less so in the West is family and tribe important, but with these people it is. And tribe is around the village and the immediate environs. These people, even in their own country, their own place, their own area, they don't travel very far to do anything. The idea of going to a major town or city in their own country where people of their own language and religion are, and their own culture and customs and habits, even traveling to that is a monumental undertaking that can only be done after months, if not years, of consultation with the tribal elders and other people. Nor do you travel on your own. You travel in groups, and they're very much like that in these places. Now, I'm a very well-travelled guy on business, and I've been to many third world countries, and I can vouch on the ground that people that you come across there don't understand the world outside of their village, that they have no comprehension of it. Their sophistication in first world measuring terms, their sophistication is about zero. They've got no comprehension of anything outside of it. And you go to these third world countries and they're still using the same methods and tilling the fields with oxen, and they're still as they did 1,000 years ago, more than 1,000 years ago. So these aren't people who have the wherewithal or the comprehension or the sophistication to just get up one day and say, you know what, I think I'll travel to a first world Western country because I'm an ambitious, hardworking young man. I'm very career-minded, and I really want. I'm an industrious young man with. I can imagine myself in a sharp suit and a white shirt and a necktie. So no, that's not what happens. These people are functionally and practically and in world terms, excuse me, illiterate in every way, not simply. Now, if they have had any education, excuse me, it's been a very brief and very short window of education. I'm going to have to take a little. I've had some strong coffee this morning. Let me just take a little sip of water here. So these people are not the sort of folks that get up and decide that their career opportunities, their future will be in their hands. They're going to go to a first world country, or they're going to go to a place where the opportunities are better because their career prospects. That's not even how they think. They couldn't even comprehend that type of thinking, let alone go through. So now that sort of thinking, this I'm going to go to another place where the opportunities are better, that's for someone of reasonably sophisticated. They've had a decent enough education. They may not be triple PhDs or anything, but they've had a decent enough education, and they're able to balance and weigh that, okay, I'm going to leave my family behind, my tribe, my people. I'm going to leave the only things that I know and understand. I'm going to leave behind the only things I know how to relate to, and I'm going to go to a completely different cultural place. The reason I'm going to do that is because I've got these skills, these capabilities, this knowledge, this experience, this job capability, employment. That's why I'm going to go, because with the skills I have and the capability I have, I can do much better in that other place. Okay, all right then. Well, that's fair enough, but that's not what these people from the third world are. They've got no skills. Close to 100% of them have never had a job, and don't have any job experience or education or anything of note that they can sell or use. So if you're in that situation, you don't think, well, I've got all these skills. You don't think. People with skills think that way. So these aren't typically where the people with mobile skills and capabilities go. For example, if you're a rocket scientist and there's a rocket project in, I don't know, the US or somewhere, and there's a demand for rocket scientists, they may tap you on the shoulder, or you may see or hear about a situation where I can go to the US to work on that rocket project. I've got a PhD in Australia, but there's no real work for that sort of capability in Australia, for example, in Australia. So I'll go to the US and I can double my income, or triple my income, or get a much better life for my family. So this is also not a situation just young men make. It's a situation where men are making it because the prospects for not only them but their family is better, and their children is better, and their future can be made better. So this is a very different sort of decision that somebody with capabilities and skills makes, and where you can go to another first world country where more or less you understand all the habits and behaviors and the laws and the human interaction and so on, rather than from a third world country where you have no comprehension of these things. So we need to get past this idea that there's all these ambitious, hardworking, career-minded young men from, who are all illiterate, from basket case economies, living a shanty town, rural existence, in a bartering existence in agriculture, that they suddenly have this vision one day. I'm going to go to a first world country because I'm such a hardworking, career-minded guy, and I'm really going to go places that I'm going to go right to the top. That's not how it works. Nor do these people have that level of comprehension of the world or sophistication. So that's number one, this idea that they're moving for a better life because their skills can be employed. That's crap. Utter and total fucking crap. Now, let's have a look at, let's say they go from, if they wanted to get, just pursue better opportunities, they'd go from the country that they're in, or the village that they're in, to the nearest big city where there are more opportunities. They do that. That would be a logical sort of step. But they're not doing that. And they'd be going to a city or a place where everyone speaks the same language, same religion, particularly in the area of Islamic states where many people are quite devout. They'd go to those sort of places where they could understand, they'd have a relative, all the social connections, language, culture, religion, everything. They still would tick all the boxes. So that's where they would go for better opportunities than the rural area. Now, bear in mind the quality of life in these rural areas, because so many transactions are by barter and so on, that marriages are all arranged, and your whole life's pretty much set out for you, and your need for money is minimal, really. You can live a reasonable quality. You own your home, and your home may not be much. It doesn't have running water or electricity or anything like that, but you own it, and you're not paying it off to some multinational bank or something. So you've got no debts. You've got enough food, you're not rich, and you're not living off the fat of the land and all this sort of thing. And the minute your village does better in agricultural production, they'll procreate as quickly as that to on a per capita basis absorb any surplus that occurs. But nonetheless, these your quality of life in that sense, your family and everyone around you, multiple generations, that's all quite a good quality of life. So you go to a place where you have none of those social support structures, and that's a very different type of life, and something that these people again have no comprehension of. Now, they may have on their iPhones, or maybe there's often now television in these villages, and they'll get some sort of a satellite transmission, and they see what life's like in the first world now up close, and they can look and think, well, those people are really no better than me. The soap operas where they see all these petty squabbling, these people are no better than me. Why can't I have what they have? Now, remember, in these village places in these third world countries, they've got, through necessity really, quite a communist socialist sort of system. They don't have much, and what they have, they typically share. And the idea that somebody in the village would go hungry while others were eating, that wouldn't be. So they would reduce the amount of resources each one of them has to make sure they all have, more or less, it's a village tribal chief aside or something, they have a more or less equal amount. So they come from a very socialist type attitude. So they assume when they go to this first world country that has so much, you have so much of everything. And the assumption is that the white people in that country will just share it with me. Of course, if I get there, then I'm one of them, and they will share it with me. Same as if a white person came into our village, we would share our food with them. So they have a different mentality of their concept of capitalism and working hard but they've got no concept of that either. So why are they making a journey? Now, the journey that they're making from these third world countries, the average length journey, they range from 7,000 this is from point of origin. They range from 7,000 kilometers at the closest to about 11,000 kilometers at the furthest. So that's more or less the range of distance. Now, the amount of countries they travel through averages at the low end 7, at the high end 12, sometimes even more depending on the route that they take. So they're making this incredible journey. Now, bear in mind, these are people who haven't traveled more than 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers in their whole life. They have no concept of what's beyond the mountains or what's around the next corner. They don't even have the most basic understanding or concept of distance or of what's over the horizon. And yet they suddenly up and decide to take a 7 to 10,000 kilometer journey. An illiterate peasant with no skills, who's never worked. They just decide to get up and take a journey like that, just because I want a better life and I'm going to get my skills, better employees. They've got no skills. They've got no education. They're illiterate in their own language, but somehow they just suddenly get up and decide they're going to go on this 10,000 kilometer journey through all sorts of different places. Again, their comprehension level doesn't even begin to interact with that level of reality, but somehow they're deciding to do it. They've never left their family or their family group. They've never left their village before, unless it's maybe for a day. The sort of bush type, schools in the middle of nowhere are being taught by people who are themselves minimally literate and who are usually paid by NGOs to spread activism long way before they'll spread any useful education. So these people arrive. These people arrive in the West with what? What do they have? They have got no skills. They've got no knowledge. They've never had a job. They've got no capabilities. They've got nothing. So what are they going to do to get a better life, to secure a better life, other than to avail themselves of the handouts that the first world country may give them? Now, there'll always be exceptions. Always, among the millions that make the journey, are there going to be some that are bright and industrious and conscientious? Sure, there'll be some, a tiny proportion, and those are used as propaganda sort of props to say, well, look, this guy's doing good. He came from Nigeria or somewhere. So hey, this is all people from all third world peasants are going to be business owners and industrial magnates and so on. This is absurd. Beethoven was deaf, therefore all deaf people are Beethoven and write fantastic symphonies. Well, are you saying Beethoven's not deaf? Is that what you're trying to say? So this idea of these people being industrious, career-minded people out looking to improve their lives is utter nonsense. So what is happening, and this is really the rub, world globalist controlled or United Nations, it doesn't matter where the money's coming from. There is a vast pool of money in the tens of billions that's dedicated to mass moving of people from the third world to the first world. It's a planned, choreographed thing, and they go around to these third world villages. They bribe village elders and the village headman. They have these vast travel infrastructures of so no, we'll help you get there. We'll provide the we'll provide all the buses, we'll provide the food, we'll provide the way stations, we'll provide the clothes, we'll provide the water, we'll provide the guides, we'll provide the ships, we'll provide everything. Now, it doesn't mean these people don't have to bribe, they do, but the bribery is sort of a reverse. These people don't have the money, or some of them might, but they don't have the money to pay the bribes. It can cost, several thousand US dollars to get from some third world shithole country where the average income is $1,500 per year, and yet somehow these people have got $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to spend on bribing officials. No, you don't. If you're an illiterate peasant from a village in Middle Nowhere, you don't have that sort of money. So the bribes are being paid by the NGOs and by the United Nations and by the globalist cabal. The globalist cabal is paying these bribes, but also they're being, as in the indentured servants and apprentices of the medieval and early, US, early American colonies type thing. You could get a place, so say, as if you wanted to go from England to the American colonies as, say, an apprentice, I don't know, stonemason or carpenter or something like that. You could apply for such a job, and the master stonemason would pay for your passage on the ship, which included your food and everything, and would also pay for your food and lodging when you arrived in the American colonies. And so everything that you needed to keep body and soul together. But in return, you had to agree, obviously, to be an apprentice to the master stonemason or whatever the trade was, carpenter or something. But you had then agreed to a certain time. So the business owner, the stonemason, would say, "Well, look, I've shelled out all this money. I'm paying for your food. I'm paying for everything, and in return, you're giving me your labor, and I need to have that labor not only to get the money back I've spent on you, your travel and everything, but I also need your time to maybe continue the business. Maybe the stonemason's starting to get a little bit old. His hands are starting to get arthritic or something like that. So he wants someone maybe to if not take over the business, certainly be a valuable, skilled employee within the business. So he would pay for everything to get the guy to come over, and would want, say, 15 years. Some of them went even longer. Some went to like 20 years, which seems quite excessive. But nonetheless, this guy was an indentured slave servant for that period of time. Not that he didn't get something in return, he did. But his prospects in England maybe weren't that good. He thought the prospects would be better in the colonies. It's newer, there are more opportunities and so on. So he goes there and does his 20 years time with it, and then he can go off and do his own thing. Or he may decide to stay in the business and become a long-term lifetime employee or something like that, which was, by the way, what was not rare back in the day. So we've got the same thing happening with these third world peasants, except they're not indentured to be master stonemasons or anything else. And if you look at the amount of these third world people who take up apprenticeships, then it's very, very, very few, and the ones that do attempt to drop out very quickly. So really the only work they can do is labouring, low cost, low wage labouring. So these labour hire firms that put out low cost labourers for things like fruit picking or cutting sandwiches or food processing plants or street sweeping or whatever it might be, those people, those labour hire firms and the folks who hire them, they're in fact paying for these people to come to the first world, and then using their slave labour. So they'll put them in stack accommodation, 20 people to a room or to an apartment, and they'll stack them in there as coolies, slaves, flunkies, cheap labour workers to go and do whatever, service industry, floor sweeping, whatever, cleaners, and then they'll use them for that. And they've paid these people to effectively come to the first world. These labour hire firms, they've paid for them. So these people are indentured slaves for however long these labour hire firms want them. A lot of them are illegal, for goodness sakes. They're not even not even legal residents or citizens or work visa permit holders. So, and there's a lot of corruption and scams in and around that, of course, the work visas. But this is what's going on. These are not, some are suggesting, but they just want a better life. They're career-minded, industrious people who want to get ahead. No. That's absolute nonsense. Nothing could be further from the truth. You've been with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.